Hello, my name is Martita Meyer. I am the first vice chair of the Washington County Democrats, and I am going to give you an overview about the Washington County Democrats. So this video is for you if you are very, very new to politics, the Democratic Party, and it all just seems very overwhelming and like a lot of stuff, but not really clear what we do, where to start. So if that's you, you have found the right place. So thank you for being here. I just want to start to say welcome and thank you. We're excited that you're watching this video because that means that you are interested in learning more about the party. So thank you for tracking us down and getting started. We're excited to have you. So let me start with giving you a little overview of what the Democratic Party is at the most basic level. So what we care about. I think for a lot of people, especially if you're watching this video, you probably have some idea about our values. But high level, I would say Democrats are always in the game and fighting for living wages and labor representation, fighting climate change, public education, healthcare for all, human rights, equal justice for all, fighting corruption, and protecting the Constitution. I think you can always count on Democrats being aligned on these most basic principles. So getting a little bit more into the how and the details. So you've probably heard of the DNC, that is the Democratic National Level Party. And the DNC is the nationwide party, but the party actually functions in all 50 states. And so there's three levels. There's the national party, there's state parties, and then there's county parties. So today you are watching the Washington County Democrats Party's introduction. So that's the lowest down of those three logos there. It says Democrats of Washington County. So we've stacked the list that way because you can sort of think of it as a hierarchy, but a very loose one. And why I say that is there's a lot of interaction between county parties and state parties, and there's interaction between state parties and the DNC. But it's loose in that no party is really beholden at any level. So for instance, the Washington County Democrats could hold a different view on a certain topic or issue than the state party. It doesn't happen frequently because we tend to be pretty aligned on our values. But from time to time, you know, there might be a couple views on how you could take a stand on a topic, and maybe a county party takes a slightly different view than the state, for instance, and that's okay. I think part of being the Democrats is that we are a big tent, and part of being a big tent is really understanding that we need that flexibility so that every county feels that it's representing itself. So it's structured in levels. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit about it more. There's ways in which the county party and the state party interact, but there's no like command from on high that the DNC tells us to do something, and then that tells the state parties to tell us to do something. So that definitely doesn't work that way, rest assured. Personally, so our county focus is what we really focus on the most is we look at getting elected qualified Oregon Democrats in office. So we want to look for qualified people who share our values and get them elected into different local offices and state offices. So anywhere from the governor all the way down to school board. We look to inspire effective, positive change in local government. So beyond getting great candidates elected, we might write resolutions or advocate for things that we think are important in our local sphere. And we work to increase membership in the Democratic Party. So we're definitely excited you're watching this video. We would love to continue to grow our party. So how do we get there? I think for a lot of people, there is a notion when you look into getting into politics that if you commit to helping in some way, that you're basically going to be knocking on doors and making phone calls to strangers. And while that is a part of what we do as a party sometimes, it's way more than that. And why that's good news for you is no matter what your skills are, what you enjoy doing, there's actually something for you to do in this party. And that's not just lines. I mean, there's literally so much to do. I think the best way to think of it is each county party still runs itself like a little business, right? And A business has all these different things. It needs people who are good at accounting. It needs people who are good at marketing. It needs people who are good at writing. It needs people who are good on the phones. It needs people who are extroverted and like talking to people, right? There's different skills that we need, and we all work together to make things work and to grow. So today in this video, we're going to go over the 4 main quadrants. We're going to go over the neighborhood leader program. We're going to go over what our committees do, a little bit about caucuses, and what the PCP, you'll hear that a lot if you start to join party politics, which is a precinct committee person, what that is, what they do. So let's start with the neighborhood leader program. So the focus of the neighborhood leader program, which is short the NLP, is to impact Democratic and progressive leaning voters by staying engaged with our neighbors. So it's educating and motivating fellow Democratic voters about Democratic candidates and issues. So when that work is being done, primarily is during campaign season. So during a campaign season, we go through a process. We endorse candidates who are aligned with our Democrat values. And then we create a slate card. And in that slate card, we list all the candidates that we are helping to get elected. And then as a neighborhood leader, the approximate 30 homes closest to you that are registered Democrats, you build that relationship with them. So during the campaign season, you knock on their door, you bring the slate card, and you tell them who's running and why, answer their questions. And, you know, some people are just happy to take the slate card, but you also have the opportunity to really build relationships with people, and it becomes a comfortable thing. It's not just knocking on strangers' doors. I also always say an added bonus to being a neighborhood leader is you get to figure out who your like-minded neighbors are. So that's always kind of a nice bonus too. So that's a little bit about the neighborhood leader program. Like I said, that's something where you do a bit of work during campaign season, but it's not something that goes on all year round. It's part of activating our campaign strategies. Just to give you a little idea of why we do it. Some of our trends from 2016. So the average voter turnout in counties participating that year was 69%. That was just a general voting average. The turnout for Democrats specifically in precincts where we had an active neighborhood leader jumped up to 86%. So you can see that's quite a jump. I think that's 17% jump. So literally that's just from people reminding people to vote and giving them a slate card. You have that increase in voter turnout. The turnout of Democratic voters contacted face-to-face goes up to 90%. So the difference there is sometimes when you're tracking as a neighborhood leader, you might knock on a door, no one's home, you leave the literature versus having that conversation. So you can see even if you don't have the conversation, it's really a huge difference, but even more when we have that opportunity to get engaged and talk with our neighbors. So if you're interested in that, if you're like, that's cool, I definitely want to do that, you can go to our website. You can see that red box there says get involved. You would click there on our navigation. That'll put a drop down and it will give you the neighborhood leader as one of the options. You can also go directly to that URL, washcodems.org/neighborhood leader. You can fill out a form and that will go to our House district leaders, and those House district leaders will get in touch with you. So that's that first part. You will see that the House district leaders will reactivate neighborhood leaders every time a campaign is upon us. So once you've been a neighborhood leader, you will probably be hearing from your House district leader to get you prepared for the next election. All right, next is committees. So when I said earlier that we need every kind of person, it's really the committees. The committees are like our little orgs inside of our business that we do, and that's what helps us function. So just a little bit about that. You can see we have things like a comms committee, we have an IT committee, fundraising committee. I don't think I have the budget committee listed here, but if you like accounting, we got a budget committee, rules committee, training committee. So all these committees do different things. The campaign committee is the committee that has the House district leaders that help the neighborhood leaders. So that's that committee and how we help function the neighborhood leader program. Comms, communications, that's like our digital marketing, our website content, reaching out to the press for press releases, all of that stuff. So we need writers on communications committee. We need people who are good at content management, social media. IT committee, that's the people who help us make sure our computers are running, if there's a problem with the website not functioning, all that good stuff. So we need those types of people. So you never have to talk to someone. If you just love doing tech work, we need you. Office committee, we have people who welcome people when we have our office open. We do have an office in Hillsborough. So, you know, if you just want to help by being there, you know, just to say hello and welcome people, it makes a huge difference, because that's what we want. We want people to feel welcome and at home. So these are all the various committees that we have here listed. And we hope that if you find something there that looks interesting to you, that you can connect with that chair, which we'll get into how you can do that in a minute, and then you can join that committee. It's a huge difference to have those committees functioning well. Along with committees, we have something called caucuses. I think if you first enter into working in the party, they may not seem that different. You may have noticed we had like a Latinx outreach committee, and then it's like caucuses. So a caucus, in a way, functions like a committee in the sense that it's a group of people getting together to get something done. So all of our committees get together to get something done, but sometimes it's more administrative based, like communications and IT. There's a function they need to do. Whereas like Latinx outreach and our caucuses, they're more about either something people care about or an identity that people feel affiliated with. Coming together and talking over their goals and strategies that they would like to enact in the Democratic Party. So you can see here we have 2 identity caucuses and we have the education caucus. So like I said, it can be something you care about. So if a group of people, like, we care about healthcare, you can have a healthcare caucus. As you can see, I said here, we need more representation. Right now, these are our only caucuses, but the party works at its best when we do have multiple thriving caucuses with different goals in mind. So if you don't see a caucus here that you think we ought to have, you can be the one to help us kick it off. So if you're passionate about something, whether, let's say you're a veteran or healthcare, or, you know, if you're Native American and you really want to see us have a bigger footprint in those arenas, these are all things we want to do, and we need your help. If you would like to join an existing committee or caucus, you can, again, go to the website where I boxed that says About WCD, that's About Washco Dems. That drop down will take you to a section that's called Washington County Democrat Leaders. That's where all the chairs, the emails are of all the chairs of all the committees and caucuses. That's the quickest way to get in touch with the chair. You can do that and track them down that way. And if you are interested in forming a new caucus, please contact me. It's vicechair1@washcodems.org. I'm happy to talk with you and walk you through the process of how we kick off a caucus and help you grow that. Something I'm very personally excited to do and passionate about, and I will be there for you to help you enact that, if that is your goal. Next, precinct committee person. So a precinct is the smallest political unit in the country. So it cannot be divided by legislative, congressional, or supervisional boundary. A precinct committee person is a representative of the party within that precinct in which he or she resides. So it's like a little piece of a neighborhood. And so if you're a PCP, there are Republican PCPs, right? Every political party has a PCP. And so as a Democrat PCP, you are technically representing that group of people in your neighborhood when we do votes during our central committee meetings of the Democratic Party. So like I said, PCPs, they represent their neighbors. They debate and vote on the issues that come before the central committee. These issues may include resolutions, rules changes, platform planks, and legislative agenda priorities. That's the primary types of things you would be voting on if you are a PCP. If you're interested in becoming a PCP and coming to our monthly central committee meetings where we do business, where you would go again is that get involved, and that drop down, you'll see a thing about the PCP, precinct committee person. Click there. That'll give you a little bit more detail about what it means to be a precinct committee person. And there's a form that you fill out, and then that gets submitted to our secretary. If you go to the Washco Dem leaders, it's just secretary@washcodems.org. When the secretary receives your form at the next central committee meeting, we go through the process of having you become an appointed PCP. That page that I was describing here will give you all the details on how to do that if you would like to take the first step in joining the party and voting on party business. I didn't get into this on the slide earlier, but there is this other aspect of the party that I think is important for people to understand. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that there are layers to the Democratic Party, national, state, and local, but we are not necessarily beholden to each other. So the way we are connected to the state party is through delegations. So you might remember, like every 4 years when we have the president elections, you'll hear about DNC delegates, and they're going to the DNC convention, delegates. So that's very similar. In that sense, it's a delegate who's elected, but that's up at the DNC level. So locally, we have state central committee delegates and we have congressional district delegates. Here it's Congressional District 1 because that's our district. That may change shortly, but this is a 2021 video. So as of right now, we are Congressional District 1. So state central committee is the central committee at the state level, just like we have a central committee at the county level, and we meet once a month. The state central committee meets once every 3 months. So the state central committee, which is the SEC, is the governing authority of the Democratic Party of Oregon. Each county elects delegates to represent it at the SEC based on their population. Washington County currently receives 11 delegates to the SEC, and the chair is an automatic delegate. So our party chair is the 11th delegate, and then we elect 10 delegates every 2 years to represent us at the SEC, and we also have alternates. I won't get too into that right now. That would be something you can learn more about if you're interested. But at the basic level, those are the people that go up to the state level. They vote on things with the state, so they function very similar to the PCP when we all vote at the county party, like I said earlier, right? This is a delegate that then goes up to the state level, and it's all of the different people in Oregon coming together as delegates and voting on the matters at the state level. There's also the Congressional District 1 delegate. This is members of this committee. They liaise with their congressional representative and elect members to serve on the Democratic Party of Oregon standing committees. So again, this is a way to be connected at the state level. We have training classes where you can learn more about that, and I will tell you in a little bit how you can get engaged in the training classes, and you can get a lot more detail about this. Whew. There we go. So in a nutshell, this visual hopefully will make sense of everything we just talked about. At the top here, I said registered Democratic voters. So obviously, if you're in the Democratic Party, we want you to be a Democrat, and you're probably a registered Democrat. If you're not going down into being a volunteer, you sort of go through that migration of becoming one. So a precinct committee person has to be a registered Democrat to be a Democrat PCP. PCPs vote at the central committee. Then within that, you can see there's this sphere here called active volunteers. These are people that are doing activities in the party. So we have the executive board, and the executive board are the officers, who are the 5 elected positions. Officers are voted on every 2 years. I said I was the vice chair, so I am one of the elected officers. So the officers, the committee chairs, so of our committees, each committee has a chair, and our delegation chairs comprise the exec board, and the exec board meets once a month as well, and we try to help navigate party business and make sure that the party is healthy and running smoothly. Also inside of active volunteers, as we talked about, are the committees, the caucuses, House district leaders, as I said, are a part of the campaign committee, and they help organize the work of neighborhood leaders, and those neighborhood leaders get out the vote and help elect Democrats. I put delegates a little over to the left because they are also active, like I said, both at the county level, which would kind of be inside this gray sphere, but they go up to the Democratic Party of Oregon and do work within that party, and are link between the county and the state level. So hopefully that visual here kind of helps clarify everything we just talked about. And as I said, there's a lot. This is a high-level overview. The next thing I would really recommend is doing more in-depth training about the party. So we do have a training committee. And if you like all this stuff and you want to help us with that as you become part of the party, that's another committee you can join. But the Washco Dems provides free training to give you information about our party, what we do, so forth, right? So we'll dig into all the stuff that I touched on today at a much more in-depth level so that you really understand how it works. We have a page on the website. It's washcodems.org/washcodems-101 that you can find on the drop-down for volunteering. That page is just sort of a general overview of the kinds of trainings we do right now, but the best way to see what trainings are happening at a given time, if you just go on the homepage, we will always have the latest training information clickable right on the homepage. Usually if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see upcoming trainings, and you can click there and you can see the details for the most recent trainings that we will be offering. And you can always email training_chair@washcodems.org to just find out what's going on. Nancy will get back to you. She's our current chair for training. And if there's not something coming up, she can put you on a list and make sure to keep you up to date on the next training opportunity. Please visit our website. You're probably visiting our website. Maybe if you found this video, maybe not. If you have not found our website is washcodems.org. We have tons of information on the website that will go into more detail about the stuff we talked about today. So if you just click around, go through the drop downs, we'll talk more about committees and caucuses. You'll get individual pages on those committees and caucuses. You can learn more about the Neighborhood Leader Program. You can see articles that'll tell you about more about how the SCC works, more about our Central Committee and how it works. There's a lot of information on this website. So if you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to take the time to just navigate around the website and see if you can find what is of interest to you. Thank you so much. I hope this was informative and helpful, and please know that we need you and we would love to have you here. We really, really care about having a big tent party, and what that means is people who come from different walks of life with different needs and different values, that we can come together and help make the United States of America and Oregon the place that we want to live in. And it really takes action from all of us. And if we all participate a little bit, we can spread that wealth and that work and all do a little to produce a big outcome. So thank you again for being here, and I hope to see you soon.